All right, hey guys, this is Michelle with Michelle's Canine Training, and today I want to talk about a topic that the lovely Kate Lynn recommended under one of my Facebook posts asking for ideas that people want to know more about. So, separation anxiety is a big one for a lot of dog owners. And before I get to the dog side of things, I would like to get you guys thinking with a comparison for us humans. Some people might not be able to directly relate to this, but I can relate from personal experience. In the past, I have had some relationships where I have allowed myself to become so dependent on the other person for happiness. So for example, if I'm not constantly talking to them, or if I can't constantly see them and interact or just connect with them, then I start getting anxious, I start getting stressed, and also I find it really difficult to enjoy whatever I'm doing in the moment, or I'm not even doing anything at all because I'm so focused on thinking about them and feeling unhappy that I can't connect with them. It just becomes something that really consumes you because your whole life revolves around this one person. And if they aren't around, then you're just constantly feeling all these negative emotions and you can't be your own independent being. So if we go back to thinking about what it is like for dogs, they don't have the cognitive ability to think or reason or deep dive, analyze what their life is like. So it is up to us, their owners, to teach them how to be calm, comfortable, relaxed while they are away from us. So something that I have been noticing immediately with a lot of my board and train dogs, there were a few that had the ability to exhibit separation anxiety behaviors, where if their owner tried to crate train them across several months, they would still be barking and whining a lot, or they would be constantly making noise, whining, or wanting to get into their owner's lap, jumping on them for affection, all of that stuff. And basically the moment after they arrived at my house, they did not show any of the same behaviors in the crate because of all the structure that I immediately set forth for the dog, whether it's thresholds for the door or the crate. I also enforced more time in the crate so they could get used to that, but also if they were doing any funny business in the crate, such as whining, barking, doing dangerous behaviors such as biting the crate door, I would put a stop to that immediately. So especially for those dogs that tend to be more needy, I would say you need to cut back on some affection while you begin to implement structure in your home, because you don't want to reinforce that mindset as well as that attitude where they think that if they whine, then you're gonna grab them and put them on your lap, or if they bark at you while they're in the crate, then you're gonna let them out because you feel bad. Remember, anything that you provide affection for, or even some sort of contact, some dogs really enjoy you just touching them, even if it's something as simple as picking them up, then you are possibly enabling that state of mind as well as that behavior. Because remember, similar to humans, dogs do things for a purpose. So if they are jumping on your leg and want affection from you, and immediately after that happens, you pick them up and hold them or put them in your lap, or you give them some pets on the head, then they are being rewarded for that behavior. And there is also no reason for them to change how they have been behaving because they're actually being rewarded for it. They're getting what they want. So aside from structure and boundaries, which really adjust the mindset, which is the most powerful aspect of dog training in general, I would also highly recommend crate training and the place command. So crate training is something that I would say is non-negotiable. It is something that I would recommend to all dog owners always. It's not something I would say is situational, but definitely mandatory because it provides a safe haven for your dog. Right now, while I'm recording this video, Riley is actually just staying in her crate right now, being quiet because she's used to it. She's also in the next room over, so she's basically away from me, but she's not going crazy over it because she has learned that distance from me or not having access to me is not a negative thing, but it's just time for herself. She gets to sleep in the crate and she gets to relax and enjoy herself in there. And she also does not need to stress and worry about anything else outside of the crate. So some house structure things that you enforce are stuff like not having access to the couch unless you're invited up. All of the same house structure that I have been talking about endlessly, which is the crate threshold, not being let out without your permission, as well as going in. The door is the same thing, going in and out. Make sure that they respect it and wait for your permission. And also eating. You want to have them sit and wait for their food before giving permission. All of these things not only builds a really, really strong relationship with your dog, all of these things contribute to a stronger and healthier mental state for your dog. But what really is the icing on the cake is definitely crate training and the place command, because when you leave the home, I would absolutely recommend that you crate your dog. It will keep them safe. They won't get into things that would be potentially dangerous. And it just puts you at ease knowing that their mindset, being calm and relaxed, is being maintained while they are in the crate. On the other hand, the place command is really great for your dog because dogs often follow you around the house, right? And that's not a bad thing, because I personally do not believe in free roaming of your dog. I would like my dog especially to always be in the same room as me, just so I can always keep an eye on her, and there really is no benefit for free roaming in my opinion. So the place command means that she must remain on the dog bed until she's allowed off with the release word. And during that time, there's going to be so much happening around her, such as me getting up and going into different rooms. I could be going out of line of sight temporarily, where I go to the bathroom. There's times where I take a shower while she's on the place command and she stays there. There's times where I go outside of my house to get something from my car, come back inside, and she is still on the dog bed. So many different things you could be doing. I could be cooking, I could be doing a workout, my cats could be walking by, there could be garbage trucks passing by, kids on bicycles, all these different sights and sounds that can be happening, and your dog is practicing that calm, patient mindset, meditating on their dog bed. And it's just really, really great for your dog to learn all of these skills, as well as learning to be comfortable not having to follow you around all the time. Because sometimes when you think about what causes dogs to be reactive on the walk, is they are in front of you, right? So that means that they are in charge of everything that they see, everything that they hear. They react to everything because they feel like it is their responsibility, or they feel like it's just their duty to. But once you start moving them back into the heel position, then I'm the one that's in front. They follow me, and as a result of that, they don't have to worry about all these other things that dogs actually don't need to worry about, but they choose to if they're in front. But if we enforce the heel and the positioning, then I will be the one that's choosing, oh, are we going to turn left? Are we going to go straight? Are we going to turn right? Are we going to do a 180? And they are all focused on just me and my body and my pacing, directions, all of that. They are focused on you, the handler. And if I see a dog coming up ahead, you know what? I am going to make the choice to provide space for my dog, rather than my dog being the one to worry about, oh, there's a dog coming. What am I going to do? How am I going to behave? Instead of that, they're going to be like, oh, that dog is actually in the background of what I care about, because what I care about is where my handler is moving, how they're moving. So as I've given more thought to the heel command and how the dog actually perceives it, it really does relate to what I'm basically trying to say right now, which is that if you give your dog the practice of just existing, neutrality, and not needing to react to everything, then it gives them less to worry about, which is really, really powerful for a dog, because naturally, if you don't teach them otherwise, at least for some dogs, right, they feel the need to react to everything. So if you teach them the opposite, then it allows their mind to really settle. It gives them such a strong peace of mind. Another thing I do want to mention that people tend to focus on a lot when it comes to training is that they worry that they will share negative experiences with the dog that will damage their relationship with them. And I just want to say for that, there will always be the occasional ugly moments with your dog. So eventually, even in dog training, there will be the correctional stage, which is basically the final stage. And anytime the dog is not compliant, or they break a command early, or they don't listen after you say the command, then you would correct them for that, because you are holding them accountable for a known command. And if you don't apply that level of correction, then your dog is never going to respect a command, because they know that they can break constantly with minimal consequences. And then that means that you are keeping your dog at a level that is basically kindergarten. You're not allowing them to grow and be held accountable for something that they clearly know that you've repeatedly done with them in a variety of places. So basically what I'm trying to say is that during the training phase, there will occasionally be some ugly moments, and that's totally okay, right? Because if you think about it, when you were growing up with your parents, your relationship wasn't always completely smooth, right? There would be times where your parents would scold you for something, or they would ground you, and you would have those arguments and you would bicker with each other. But as you grew older, you started to understand maybe why they did what they did. So this is very similar in the sense that we have so much time that we'll be able to share with our dogs once training is over. And when I say over, I don't mean completely finite. I just mean that the stage in which you're teaching your dog everything new from scratch, that stage, once that stage is over and your dog has started transitioning into a much more respectful and polite dog, as well as really understanding the commands in a variety of environments, that stage is where you'll be able to share healthy interactions and affection with your dog without worrying too much about negatively reinforcing anything, right? So there's a lot of times in the beginning of training a dog that is completely new to everything. I try my best to keep affection to a minimum, unless, of course, they do something right. So if they're sitting at the door, or if they listen to a command, or if they're giving really polite behavior, I will always reward that, whether it's through verbal reinforcement, or even through touch, or through feeding them kibble or treats or whatever. I will always reinforce that. But what I'm trying to say is that in the beginning of training, I try to avoid giving the dog any unearned affection, because a lot of dogs come in with a lot of unearned affection, and that can be an overload when you have too much of that and not enough structure. It becomes imbalanced, and it could lead to a lot of unhealthy dynamics that you have with your dog. So hopefully all of those factors that I mentioned really help you to understand why all of it matters. Because when it comes to something as complex as relationships with their dogs, their individual personalities, the experiences they've had, how you interact together, all of these things cannot be fixed with just one solution. It has to be a variety of things to address every single little moment that you share with your dog. So all of the house structure addresses that, because the moments where your dog is pushing to go out the door and you enforce that they sit and wait, as well as even say, for example, when you're approaching the door to take your dog out for a walk, if they are pushing ahead, then I would always walk around the room and try again and ensure that they stay right next to me or behind me. Because if you address that mindset before you go take a walk, then your dog is going to offer much more behavior. Similarly, if you address all these micro instances of when you share interactions with your dog and your dog starts to see you in a different light, then they are definitely going to offer different behavior when it comes to being polite, or even something like separation anxiety, where normally they had an overload of constantly being around you, constantly being reinforced, having affection nonstop. And then when you suddenly leave, they don't know how to handle it because we've never taught them how. So that's why everything that I've mentioned really, really contributes to having an independent, calm, relaxed dog that is really attentive to you, as well as being polite and respectful. All of it is extremely powerful. And these are the types of things that I always implement during board and trains, which is why you see such a dramatic shift in their temperament as well as their desire to work. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please provide a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.